Hello there, and welcome to the 100k subscriber Q&A. Now, it's been a little while since we've done this, but I've got a pretty good excuse for that. I've been quite busy rowing across an ocean, but I'm back now, and there's a few new faces around here. And so I put on my Instagram story, ask me anything you want about my life or something you might need advice with regarding travel, adventure, philosophy, mindset, get a glimpse into the framework with which I operate in this world. And then maybe you can take some of that advice away and it will be useful in your own life as well. Or maybe it's just simply entertaining. Either way, here we are. I'm going to answer some of the best questions, absolute influx of questions and some amazing ones, so I'm excited to get into this. And question number one is, how do you deal with rejections in relationships/dating? How does it affect you? Now, not letting myself off lightly with an easy first question, am I? The first thing to remember is that it is innate within your biology to feel upset when you're rejected, because historically it means you're either being outcasted from your group, and that means a lower chance of survival, or it means if you're rejected by a mate, then you're not going to produce offspring, and that is not good for your genetic lineage. And so it's baked in us in order to feel rejection very harshly, and you have to ask yourself, based on the situation and the sample size, whether that rejection is something that you need to work upon, or if it's simply just not a good fit and you can move on with your life. And what I mean by that is, if you're getting rejected by every woman or man or whatever you're into, then the problem probably isn't with all of the women. The problem is with you. And so take a look at yourself and work out, what can I improve upon in my life that's causing me to get rejected? Am I out of shape, lazy, unmotivated, lacking stability, both emotionally, financially, lacking security? Am I lacking competence and skills? Am I boring? If you can ask yourself those questions and be like, I'd actually quite like to improve those areas of my life, then that will help you stop being rejected. And the other side of the coin is, if you're dealing with a small sample size, like you've just, been rejected or broken up within a relationship, and maybe there's things you could have done better in that relationship, but also it's really important not to be harsh on yourself and tear yourself to pieces based on that and absolutely lower your self-worth and your perception of yourself as a result. There are probably questions you can ask yourself of things you can improve, so deal with them in a pragmatic way, and then just recognize that your biology is being harsh on you for a reason. You don't need to overthink it. Improve on the areas that you can recognize that you can, and recognize that you just maybe weren't a good fit. And that's the thing with relationships. It's not always one person's better than another. It's often that's not the case. No one's better than anyone else. It's just whether you fit together well or not. And so finding peace with that helps you move on. But remember, it's going to suck. It's going to be difficult. So just control what you can control in the meantime, and it gets better over time. Do you experience depression, and what do you do to combat it? Depression is a difficult one to define. Essentially, I look at depression as being chronically sad. So being acutely depressed, i.e. You're sad for an extended period of time, is the way in which I'm going to answer this question. So obviously every single human expresses feelings of depression or feelings of sadness. That's entirely normal. And the framework I use to deal with that is, if I'm feeling sad or depressed, for lack of a better word, it's my brain telling me something's not right about our circumstances, our situation, our environment, and it's time to take autonomy and power and control back and work out what that is and then improve it. So if you're feeling depressed because you hate your job, or you hate your environment, or you're being lazy and you're out of shape, that is your brain telling you that you're not fulfilling the purpose that's going to fulfill you most in life. And so you can recognize those areas and pull yourself out of it. So yes, I feel like depressed or low, but often that's because there's a gap between what I want out of life and then what I'm getting out of life. And so you just have to look at that and decide, okay, how can I control this? And then that disappears. Jesus Christ, 3 tough questions in a row. How did you have to deal with anxiety while rowing? Any anxiety while rowing? No, not at all. And I think the best antidote for anxiety, and I do feel anxious sometimes on land as everyone else does, on land and at sea. No anxiety while rowing, and the reason for that's very simple. We were exercising for 12 hours a day, and we had a very clear purpose of what we wanted to achieve and the task at hand. Anxiety, I think, is bred from a lack of action, and maybe wanting to achieve something but not putting in the steps in place in order to get there, and that's when you start to feel like you have this pent-up energy and like you're lacking confidence. On the road, we were starting in New York, had to get to the USA, and we were doing something about it every single day, and we were moving our bodies and getting the endorphins required as well alongside that from 12 hours of exercise. So what I'm trying to say is the best antidote to anxiety, in my opinion, is movement, getting things done. So whether you need to do the work or you need to get some endorphins flowing, go for a walk, go for a run, go to the gym, that tends to help dissipate those feelings for me. And so that's why there was absolutely none of that on the row. Even in life-threatening situations or scary situations, because you're in the middle of it, you don't have time to feel anxious, you're just dealing with it. How do you maintain your physique even with frequent travels? I get this question a lot, and it's a difficult one for me to answer because it's so easy if you look at what's required to maintain a physique while traveling. Just because you're traveling doesn't mean you can't exercise and eat well and sleep well. And they are the three pillars of maintaining a good physique. So if you can nail all three of those pillars while you're on the move to a decent level, you're going to maintain your physique. So exercising 3-4 times a week, eating well, make sure you're hitting your protein intake. You can do that anywhere in the world. It doesn't have to be in your hometown. And then sleeping well as well, prioritizing getting 7 hours sleep, prioritizing getting in the gym 3 or 4 times a week, and prioritizing getting your protein and your calories right. You'll stay in shape. It's that simple. What are some tips to lose weight and be healthy at the same time? Losing weight is healthy if you're fat and holding excess body fat. The best way to do it is in a slow, sustainable and controlled manner, while building new habits and a new framework for life, rather than simply crash diet that you're going to rebound back from. So my best tips to lose weight and be healthy is obviously the same. The general weight loss and health tips is eat clean, whole foods, don't snack on processed foods, make sure you're in a calorie deficit, a gentle calorie deficit of around 500 calories if you're pretty overweight, and just over time watch the weight fall off on the scales week by week and be consistent with it, and you can't go wrong. What are your top 5 go-to, it's like I just learnt to read, what are your top 5 go-to food sources if you only had to limit yourself to 5? That's a tough question. What is a food source? We could sit here and define that all day. I'm gonna cheat a bit, and I'm going to say chicken, beef, fish, vegetables, fruits. I would happily survive on just those if I had a clean supply of those. You get your fats and your protein from your beef and your fish. You get your protein from your chicken, or fat and protein if you're having chicken thighs. And then fruits and veg, I can cheat the system. I love fruit. I operate on quite a high carb guy. That's a weird way to define oneself. And vegetables, you can get potatoes and squashes and stuff out of that, so you can get a healthy carb intake that way as well. What was your time at Loughborough like? Now, I don't know how you know that I went to Loughborough, but I guess that makes sense. The internet's a big place. I went to Loughborough University and I did a mechanical engineering degree. And my time at Loughborough, on balance, was positive. Even the worst parts of my life I look back in a positive light because of the lessons learned. The first 2 years were really tough. The degree was really tough, mechanical engineering, and also just socially it was really tough as well. The halls that I was put in was full of, even though I was a skinny little nerd, I was the least nerdy of the lot, so really struggled for friends. Had one really good mate which helped pull me through it, and we're still very good friends to this day. So the first 2 years were tough. I went away and did a work placement for a year, and just got a lot more self-confidence. That was probably the year I made the biggest physique progression as well. Felt a lot more confident, then came back to uni for final year and really enjoyed it. Had a nice solid group of friends and a social network, and studies started to come together. My grades went up, did really well, and look back really fondly on that final year. But it was certainly tough, and I was not happy for the first 2 years. Never spoken about that before, but part of life, isn't it? Mentally, how was the trip from New York City to the UK, and did it change the way of viewing life? Mentally, it was really tough, of course, really tough. I think it solidified a lot of things that I already knew about life and what I want from life, rather than changing anything. It allowed me to, it reinforced the importance of social connections and friendships, enjoying the small things on a daily basis, and just the importance of that, like enjoying your morning walk, your coffee, your meal with a friend. Yeah, those basic needs. It helps reinforce that appreciation for, and I think it's really important that everyone does things that, especially if you live in a city, you can lose that grounding of what's important in life and what makes you feel good. And the row was great for reinforcing those things for me. So no, it wasn't life altering in that regard, but it definitely reinforced, which I'm happy about, because it means that the path I was on mentally was correct to some extent, or I haven't deviated from that, because the row has just reinforced those lessons and things that I already knew. You are a personal trainer? Correct, I am a personal trainer. I am an online personal trainer predominantly, and I help men predominantly lose fat, build muscle, or recomposition their bodies around busy schedules because of lack of information and conviction regarding knowledge in the gym or with diet or with lifestyle. And I just absolutely clear everything up for them based on their schedules and give them all the resources they need and the support that they need to get in shape as soon as possible, as efficiently and as effectively and as healthily as possible. Get involved if that's something that you're in need of. Why are you against your body hair? I'm not against my body hair. I have hair on my body right now, on my face, on my whatever. A weird question. I'm not against body hair. It grows and you cut it, and that's the nature of life, isn't it? Like, you can't just go around walking like a tramp all the time. And you got to remember, I come from like a physique and bodybuilding background, and the physiques that I always looked up to, and I think they look the best as well. When you don't have body hair, it allows you to see muscle definition and leanness with a lot more clarity. And so I kind of just keep things trimmed for that reason. When it comes to taking up a challenge, what inspires you to keep going? To keep going rather than to take I think this is the same thing. What inspires you to take something on is the same as what inspires you to keep going. And that is fulfilling on your word, so integrity of character. So people know that when I say I'm going to do something, I don't lack conviction and I go out there and I do it. And that I think a lot about like future family and future son and daughters, and think I want to be that superhero for them, that they know that their dad doesn't give up. The idea of that and that legacy building and that character building and just being the best version of yourself is something that it's very difficult for me to let go of, i.e. like that's a strong anchor when times get tough, when I don't want to do work, or I don't want to go to the gym, or I don't want to continue on a difficult expedition. I'm not that guy that gives up. So it becomes easy when you have that framework of like, I don't identify with that mentality of giving up, so you just keep going. What is your favorite video game? My favorite video game? I don't play video games. My favorite video game is life, the game of life. We're in a big video game now. I think video games is very dangerous if you play a lot of them, because you are then getting short-circuiting your dopamine feedback system, and you're chasing like a cheap, easy way to level up without putting in hard work. Like leveling up your character in some virtual world that absolutely counts for nothing, and then getting that dopaminergic feedback. Is dopaminergic a word? It is now. That feedback that you've had success and you're doing really well, when the reality is you turn off the games console and your life still sucks. So I think there's a place for video games in moderation for socializing with friends, but if you're resorting to it for a feeling of success instead of actually improving yourself, it can be a pretty dangerous treadmill to get on. So I just focus instead that time that I would be playing a video game. If there's things I want to improve in my life, I focus on those and level up in real life, whether that's in fitness, education, finances, competence, whatever that looks like. And so everything that's in a video game, you can achieve in real life. It just takes longer and it's harder and it's more difficult, and that's why people resort to video games instead of leveling up in real life. Where will you be for Christmas and New Year? I will be, for Christmas, almost definitely in the UK, and for New Year, I don't know, maybe the UK, maybe in the UAE where I am right now. We will see. I want to solo travel around the world, but too afraid to do it. Any tips on starting my first trip? Yes. You don't have to start by solo traveling around the world, do you? I was scared too, very scared. Often before trips, even now to some extent, well, way less now, but don't try and bite off more than you can chew initially, and make it a bite-sized introduction into solo traveling before you go all the way around the world. So, you know, if you're thinking of doing a huge trip, just go for 2 or 3 weeks. First of all, go solo traveling, book into some hostels, do 2 or 3 weeks, and then you know you're coming back. Even if you have the worst time ever, which you won't, and you don't enjoy it, which you won't, it's going to be over soon. It's only 2 or 3 weeks, and then you can be like, oh, okay, that was fine. I could do it for 2 or 3 weeks. Now I'm going to go away for 6 weeks, or whatever that looks like. And choose a friendly and easy place to start with. Southeast Asia, depends on where you're from, but Southeast Asia's super hospitable for solo travelers. So that's worth doing. If you're in the Americas, maybe Guatemala is also the same. It's amazing, great adventure, and very hospitable for solo travelers. So those two could be a great idea. Your relationship with alcohol. Posting, having pints, is this always just a couple? Yeah. I typically don't drink more than 2 drinks, so I like a Guinness every now and again. I'm off lagers entirely, to be fair. So yeah. I'll have a pint of Guinness or 2, but that is kind of the limit for me, whereby I get a little buzz, feel good, socialise, and then the next day, absolutely zero consequences for it, because you feel fresh still and you can get on with whatever you need to do. So yeah, always just 1 or 2. And then a couple of times a year, probably the last time I got smashed was June, just before the row, just on the vodka on the rocks. I like a big night out with vodka every now and again, but that's literally once, twice a year at this point. And you obviously pay for it for the next day. How many times have you skydived? 70 something now, 70 something skydives. I love a skydive. It's one of the best feelings in terms of pure adrenaline and hedonism and pleasure. That 5 seconds before you exit the plane, the exit of the plane, and then the first 5 seconds of free fall, it's just unbelievable. And like I said, I'm in the UAE now. I've not jumped since end of March, start of April, so I'm gonna get some jumps in the next month for sure. Yeah, so I'm on about 70. I'm not obsessed with it. I don't love it. Well, I don't need to do it all the time. I get quite bored of it, so yeah, I just do a few jumps a month type thing. No, that's not true. A few jumps every couple of months. What are the 3 main virtues or character traits you try to perfect in yourself for a spouse? That's a really tough question as well. Not let myself off lightly. The 3 main virtues or character traits you try and perfect in yourself for a spouse. I think it's a great question because you framed it in terms of you're not projecting onto a partner like my partner must have these 3 things. You're actually looking at it in a really healthy way, which is what am I going to do for myself that's also for my partner. So that's the most self-respecting way to enter a partnership or relationship, because you're not just relying on them for support, you're being that support for them by making yourself the best version of yourself. 3 main virtues or character traits, let's see what I can do. Integrity is definitely number 1. So people know in my life, loved ones, romantic or friendly, that if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do something, and I don't lack conviction in that regard. And so that's something that I've worked on and stand by as an important character trait in a relationship. Stability as well, like emotional, financial, physical, making sure that you are like a stable rock for your partner in times of need, I think is quite important. And maybe emotional vulnerability / honesty, because communication is key, as everyone always says, and you need to be able to break down the understanding of what's going on in your own mind and the way that you communicate, so you can be as fair and as clear with that other person as possible, so that you can constantly help each other work through whatever your differences are, and be a strong team. And if you're hiding skeletons in the closet or unable to open up emotionally, that can cause tension and lack of trust. So I think they're the three biggest things that I have worked on and working on, think are important, etc. What percentage of these questions are usually inappropriate? Lol. Since I've got more followers, it's actually pretty good. So there's some really reasonable ones and some inappropriate ones still. Here's a couple. That's obviously very inappropriate as well. Probably 10% are inappropriate. It's not that high. What would you do to get in shape if you couldn't afford a PT or a gym membership? I haven't had a PT before, so you don't need one. It depends. Having a PT, like what I do for people, I'm essentially making their time as efficient as possible, because instead of spending thousands of hours researching and understanding and practicing and iterating everything you need to learn in order to get in shape, clients come to me, they're busy, and they're like, listen, I just want you to give me all the information and the knowledge and the resources and the plan in order to get in shape as quickly as possible, so they don't have to go through all of that trial and error and think, should I do this, should I do that, should I do that? So, you know, I spent a lot of my early years doing it, and so I had a lot of trial and error. So if you're not going to have a PT, you just got to learn from online resources like myself or other people that give fitness advice in order to learn and collate that information. Then you go through the motions of just improving over time. And if you can't afford a gym membership, calisthenics, so using your body weight to work out, there are lots of fantastic exercises you can do just with your body weight. You are somewhat limited because you can't progressively overload linearly with weight in a very clear fashion like you can in the gym, but you can do press-ups, pull-ups, squats, single leg squats, like ab exercises, all kinds of different variations. I made a video in 2022 of like a full body workout with zero equipment, so I will endeavor to put that in the description. No, actually I won't, I can't be bothered. You can type in Adam Radcliffe full body zero equipment, and then you can see that video if you want to. What does success in life look like for you? Success, I've been rambling, so I'm gonna keep this brief. Success in life for me looks like being content with your day-to-day while working towards new achievements. You're never gonna reach the finish line. Like, when I was 18 years old, I really wasn't happy with my physique. Fix that. When I was 20 odd years old, I wasn't happy with my like physical competence or strength or resilience, and now I fixed that. Like right now, focusing on other things, like don't have a family, not as financially secure as I need to be, and so like you tick things off, and then all of a sudden maybe you have a kid, and you're like, oh well, now I'm focusing on being the best parent of myself or the best spouse possible I can be, and there's always going to be a new goalpost. So you just got to remember that you're never going to feel like you're done. You're not going to just sit on an armchair and be like, I've completed life. But as long as you can find some contentment in your day-to-day, i.e., you know, are you somewhat content on a daily basis with the way that you're living your life and the way that you're working towards a better future? That's what success looks like for me. And the further away I am from the version of myself that I want to be, the more willing I am to sacrifice day-to-day happiness or contentment in order to get there. I spent a lot of my, all of my years from the age of 18 to 23, like not happy day to day because I was so far away from where I wanted to be. So I was like, I need to, like I just said, get in shape, fix these things, be better, do better. And I didn't allow myself to relax until those were taken care of. And now I've like fixed a lot of things, working on some new things. And I can allow myself more contentment on a day-to-day basis because I can look back at that stack of evidence of things that I have achieved. That is the 100k subscriber Q&A. Some tough questions in there, some deep questions. Got me talking. I enjoyed that. I'm going to film the next one now, which is the 110 subscriber Q&A, which will be out soon, because there were loads of questions and I haven't answered all of them. Hopefully you enjoyed that too. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being my friend. Drop me a comment. Make sure you're subscribed if you're watching this and you're not. Could be possible. And yeah, see you on the next one.
Oh, you want me to say that?
You have to.
Oh, I have to. Like and subscribe.
No, say it with conviction and look
Please like and subscribe. Adam Radcliffe at YouTube,
.com.
Instagram, Facebook.